In our last video, we dove deep into text editing controllers. We talked about how to read the text, how to change the text, how to clear the text, and even listening to the text changes in real time. But here is the thing. The text field widget is great for simple input. But what happens when you want to build something more complex, like login screen, registration form, or any form that needs some kind of validation? And that's where the TextFormField widget comes in play. And trust me, once you understand this, building forms in Flutter becomes so much easier. So let's jump right in. Alright, here is the login screen that I have created using the TextField widget. I have added some basic styling and created a text editing controller for each of the text field, just like we learned in the previous videos. And when user tap on the login button, it prints out the value to the console. But here is the problem. There is no validation happening here. A user could just click on the login button without entering anything, or they could enter an invalid email format, and our app would just accept it. Not good, right? Now you might be thinking we can add the validation with the help of text editing controller. Sure, we could do that. But imagine having 10 fields in your registration form and you want to validate those 10 fields on a click of a button. In that case, your code would become a mess of if statements. This is exactly why Flutter gives us the TextFormField widget. Let me show you something cool. I'm going to replace these TextField widgets with TextFormField widgets. Like this, hit save, and the UI looks exactly the same. Then what's the difference? Here is the key distinction. The TextField widget is just a simple input widget. It lets user type text and that's it. You have to handle all the validation logic manually. TextFormField widget, on the other hand, is specifically designed for forms. It comes with built-in validation capabilities. It can display error messages automatically, or it can validate the input when user types. And it works seamlessly with Flutter Forms widget to validate multiple fields at once. Think of TextField as a basic text box and TextFormField as the same text box but with superpowers for form handling. But here is the catch. To unlock these superpowers, TextFormField widget needs to be wrapped in something called form widget. Let me show you what I mean. Right now, the TextFormField widgets are floating in a column. To make them work together as a proper form, we need to wrap them inside a form widget. Like this. Hit save. Perfect. So what exactly is this form widget? Think of form widget as a container that groups all your text form fields together. It's like the manager of your form. The form widget knows all its child text form field widgets and it can coordinate actions across all of them. For example, you can tell form widget, hey, validate all the fields. And with just one command, it will check every single text form field inside it. Or you can say, reset everything. And all fields will be cleared at once. But here is the question. How do we actually talk to this form widget, or how do we tell it to validate all the fields or reset everything? This is where things get interesting. We need something called GlobalKey. Alright, this is crucial, so pay close attention. A GlobalKey is like a remote control for your widgets. Let me paint you a picture. You have a TV across the room, so you could walk up to it every time you want to change the channel, or you could use a remote control. Stay in your couch and control it from anywhere in the room. That's what the GlobalKey does for your form widget. It gives you a way to access and control your form from anywhere in your code. Now let me create a GlobalKey for our form widget like this and assign that key to the form widget using the key property. When we assign a GlobalKey to our form widget, means we are creating a direct line of communication between our code and that specific form. So here is how it works step by step. First, the form widget internally maintains a form state object. This form state keeps tracks of all the text form field widget inside the form. Second, when we create a global key of form state, means we are creating a key that can access that form state object. And third, when we assign that key to our form using the key property, means essentially we are saying, hey form, this key is your identifier. Whenever I use this key, I want to talk to your form state. Now here is the magic. Let's go to on press event of the login button and let's add a if condition over here and use form key dot current state to access the form state. Make sure it's not null and call the validate method. When we call validate, the form widget goes through each text form field and triggers their validation. If all fields pass, it returns true. If any field fails, it returns false and shows the error message automatically. But wait, we haven't added any validation logic yet. Right now, the validate method would return true because we haven't told the text form fields what to validate. That's what we are going to cover in the next video. But I wanted you to understand the foundation first because once you get how the form and the global key work together, adding validation becomes incredibly straightforward. Let me paint you a picture of how this all works together. First, user fills out the form. Next, user hits the login button. Next, we call the validate method. Next, the form widget tells each text form field, hey, run your validator function. Next, each text form field check if its input is valid. Next, if any field returns an error message, that message appears below the field. Next, the validate method returns true if everything is valid or false if anything failed. All of this happens automatically. You don't have to write loops or manually check each field. The form and global key handle the coordination. And that's it. In the next video, we are diving into form validation. I hope you found this video helpful. Hit like and subscribe for more awesome Flutter content. Until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coding!